blogs and free resources there explaining how to do lots of it. And I'd start there, you know, just look and just learn. But you've got to get involved in it at some point. If you want to grow, if you want to grow past the point of getting referrals, you've got to eventually take the plunge into paid advertising, I believe.
Yeah, it's the only way to scale something.
It's the only way. I mean, you know, you'll always reach a point. There's definitely, for people that are just starting out, obviously, there's a lot you can do organically and on referrals, but you're always going to come to a point where you're going to plateau. And you know, and it's going to level out or start dipping. So that's the time when you need to think, right, can we start promoting this to paid ads and new audiences now?
Okay, guys, so I'm literally, whilst Matt was talking, I've managed to fix the live stream. So I'm literally about to change the link at the top of the screen, which is the link to go and get the video. So if you haven't clicked on that and you want to get those videos, go and click on that now and go and do that. We will put the link back up at some point a bit later on this morning, or probably tomorrow, or, you know, probably every day we'll mention it at Breakfast with Winners until every single one of you has gone and bought those recordings. But yeah, the link's going to disappear and change to a video link which you can watch. And we've just been joined by our guest in the studio, so it's nice of you two to come back. Thanks for that. You just all got up and walked away.
I thought you could handle the situation.
Well, we did. Yeah, we just waffled.
If you enjoyed the last 10 minutes of mediocre banter, give us a flash of the mics, guys. And if you'd like to never hear that sort of waffle again,
it was actually some sense. Probably the most sense that's been spoken.
Oh, here he goes. But there we go. Okay, so Ashley is busy rearranging the room as we speak. We've got our guest in, which we're very excited about. I would start by getting Danny to sort of introduce himself, but Paul alluded to it earlier. Me and Ash watched your...
There's a proper bromance going on here, by the way. So for it was about 25 minutes, these two told your life story. So
they were telling it to me. They were telling it to me as well, because I didn't know. So I was like, wow, that sounds amazing.
So I obviously have got 25 years worth of knowing Danny, and then Ashley tried to catch up last night by just watching as much as you could find on YouTube of Dragon's Den and all that kind of stuff. So
James said you went to the same school.
We did, yeah.
I said obviously you listened and James didn't.
No, I was a nightmare. Well, I went to nightmare school, but
we were probably on a similar level. we coasted through, but we probably didn't apply ourselves
Shout
as well
out
as we
to
could.
Chalfonts Community College.
Shout out indeed to Chalfonts Community College.
Failed what was it, 11 plus? I failed is it 11 plus?
It was the 11, yeah, I failed it. I then tried to, I went to, what's the posh school around there? RGS, do you remember Royal Grammar School?
Yeah.
And then my dad was like, it's okay, we can do the 13 plus. I failed that as well. They were like, you're definitely not coming in, mate. I was like, okay, fair enough. My mate who went to, who I was at junior school with, who went to RGS, he's now like, I found out the other day, he's like a top children's brain surgeon.
They all are from RGS, mate.
Yeah.
Standard. That's pretty standard.
Yeah. By standard, they're all surgeons. So Daniel Gray is in the building, and Daniel is the founder and the creator of Warpaint for Men, which is a male makeup brand which has gone global in domination since you launched it. So let's go back a little bit, because I think a lot of people, Dan, will probably know you from, most know you from the appearance on Dragon's Den, the infamous Dragon's Den appearance, which a lot of the press called the best sort of negotiation they'd ever seen in the Den, because you just didn't back down. You went in with a number and you just would not be budged, regardless of what happened. But take us back before all of that stuff happened. Take us back to the invention or the creation of Warpaint for Men. How did Warpaint for Men, the world's first major mainstream male makeup brand, actually come into existence?
So we were talking about schools just a minute ago. So it's off the back of being in my middle school, so before Chalfonts Community College. I was 12 years old, captain of the football team. Everything was going well, and then out of nowhere I got bullied on the school playground. So 4 boys, I'm there now on the playground, and my ears were right angles to my head, and they turned around and they started out of nowhere taking the mick out of my ears. And I'd never thought about my appearance before, and they used to sing the R. Kelly song, I Believe I Can Fly. So I could never listen to an R. Kelly song, which is an absolute bonus.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can now.
But literally, like clicking my fingers, it came over me like a wave, and I started obsessing about the way I looked. So much so that I actually had my ears pinned back like 3 months later. So that shows just how bad it was, because my mum took me straight to the NHS, and at that time you could get cosmetics procedures under the NHS. And I had my ears pinned back, but that didn't solve the issue effectively. So I carried on obsessing about the way I looked. Went to secondary school. Look, again, captain of the school football team, like happy-go-lucky, bit of a jack the lad. But I was worried about my appearance. So when I got to 14 or 15, I started getting spots, not acne, but for me that was a massive issue. So I turned to my sister, gave me a bit of concealer, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what a product could do. So I've been wearing makeup now, got it on today for like the last 20 years, and it's helped me manage my mental health. It doesn't cure it or fix it, but it's a tool I use to manage day to day. So I suffer with something called body dysmorphic disorder, BDD. I still suffer it now every day, but it was quite severe. Getting up to, I don't know, like 23, 24, 25, started getting worse and worse. I thought I was losing my hair. I wasn't, but that's what body dysmorphia can do. So for 2 years, I obsessed about my hairline. So myself, I had a hair transplant. But when I turned up, they were like, why are you here?
Yeah, we were saying on the podcast.
Yeah, they literally said that. But anyway, makeup for me was a massive help, but I couldn't find a brand that related to me as a man.
And had you started like sort of nicking your sister's stuff to start with without her knowing, and then she clocked it?
No, she gave it to me first.
Oh, did she?
Yeah,
okay.
Because I was so worried about my spots, but then I started buying it, and that was back then. The internet wasn't the internet, so I used to go into Tesco's, nick it, or buy it and try and shade match, and then be embarrassed going up to the counter and stuff like that. So, and then I always thought that there must be a men's brand that comes out, because I knew there'd be a lot of guys like me. And look, traditionally, or what I think everyone thinks men's makeup is for like the homosexual market, which is look, anyone should be able to feel comfortable to wear makeup. That shouldn't be an issue, but look, especially as a straight guy, it's seen as a massive taboo. So I kept saying, "Oh, it must be a brand that's going to come out. Must be a brand." And then a few brands did come out, and I looked and I went, "My God, it's like it's a female-led brand. Right?
Yeah.
It looks very feminine.
Yeah.
The education was still very long and complicated. So like 5 years ago, I was on the golf course with Obi, my mate Obi, and I've always been quite entrepreneurial. Started a bouncy castle company when I was 16. Without a driving license, I used to take them around in wheelbarrows around my village, dropping them off. Valeting car business, ran my dad's business for a while, and then I was on the golf course and we were chatting, and I said about a men's makeup brand, and he literally said, "Dan, you've got to stop talking about it and just do it." And it was literally like someone to click something in my head. So I was on the golf course. I can remember the exact shot I was playing when he said it on the exact hole, and I was like, "Right, I'm doing it." And then I couldn't wait to get off the golf course.
How long had you been thinking about doing it or talking about it? Because obviously you've got to a point where you've like annoyed your mate about it. 10 years, really?
Yeah, 10 years. And I always kept thinking about it. But 10 years ago, the market definitely wasn't there. Or like grooming only just started, right? Skincare. But for me, and then I kept talking about it, and he literally said, do it. And then, so we played the rest of the round. I beat him.
Get those important points in.
I don't think I did actually. And then I couldn't wait to get in my car, so I sat in my car in the car park of the golf course for 4 hours, calling people, because I didn't know anything. I didn't know how to e-commerce, didn't know about the beauty sector, didn't know about product. So the first person I called actually was my cousin, because he was a web developer. Right, I need to build a website. Weird, isn't it, how your mind goes? Like, I need a website. And then it went from there, mate. And I had a full-time job at the time, working for a company called Tusker, which is a car leasing business. I head of 3 departments, really good career prospects. I was like, I'm just going to do it. So I literally started from not knowing anything from scratch. So that's where it started. And it took about a year. It took 40 months of creating the brand before I launched in November 2018, which was a massive learning curve.
Wow, what a journey! So you still had the full-time job while you was trying to build this up for about weekends and evenings, sort of thing.
Yeah, so for about a year, first of all, I had to find product, which was difficult. So it's echo. Is that me?
I'm not sure.
Got an echo.
What have we just turned on that wasn't turned on a minute ago?
Okay.
It was me. It was
Paul.
There we go. Sorry about that.
So we just like to know who to blame.
I was going to start singing. So I trying to create a product. The first thing I thought I had to do, I need to test the market. And so it's weird, right? I didn't even know, where do I find products? Where do I find componentry? So eventually I found out Alibaba. right?
Standard.
As everyone does, yeah.
As everyone does. And I bought in some products, right, in bottles, in like little containers, foundation, pre-made from China, put some stickers on them. It's so weird, right? I was just looking at some photos on my phone on the way here, because sometimes I do that, right? I go back through my phone like 5 years ago for photos just to remind. Because I think sometimes I want the next level of something. So you get to a point, I'm like, right, it needs to be, like, we've done this one, I need to get into here, I need to get into America, I need to do this, where sometimes I think you've got to stop and remember what you've done.
100%.
Because I always forget that. And I did that for a long time. And so anyway, I go back through my photos, and sometimes I look back and go 5 years ago, I look at some of the designs I had. I'll show you them later. Indian head and stuff like that, like, literally. So anyway, I bought some product in. We created the sticker. So this time it was just me and a 19-year-old girl that I employ full-time. I'm still working full-time. We designed a logo, literally got some stickers, put them on the product, created a really basic website, and we went live, and we put some ads out. And in a day, we did 7 sales.
Wow.
And I was like...
What ads?
Social, like Instagram ads.
Instagram ads, yeah.
Yeah, and just using some really standard content that we had. I was like, right, shit. Sorry, can I swear?
Yeah, you've already go for
already
it.
done it. Mate. So I was just like, right, okay, let's do it properly. So
that's really interesting though. So you're working full time, and then you're using your salary to subsidise. You brought somebody else in full time to work on the business. So even though you couldn't be there full time, someone was working
full time straight away.
on that business full time.
And to be fair, she was amazing. She was, I don't call it a jack of all trades. She was super talented. Like, helped me create website, branding, everything. Can you imagine? Like, we had to find ingredient listings and packaging and stickers and content, right? I had to shoot content, and then we went live and we did 7 sales. Right, like, stop, and then someone to do it properly. So then I had to go and find manufacturing, which was even harder. But I wanted to find it from the UK, so I've called loads of different manufacturers, and they literally just put the phone down on you, right? Because you're a guy who wants to create a men's makeup brand. They sort of laugh you out the room. And the other thing that shocked the hell out of me was minimum order quantities. So, 5,000 to 10,000 units per shade.
Yeah.
And I wanted 5 shades within my foundation. So eventually I found a manufacturer in the UK, family-run business, 35 years. I hounded out of them to get a meeting I'm always like, I need a face-to-face with you. Just get me in the room. And then...
old school sales, actually loving it. It's like, yes, that's how you sell them. That's how you sell them.
Yeah, and then went in, had a meet with them, and they were like, okay, we'll reduce the MOQ for you. But
down to what? What did they get it down to?
2,500 units per shade, so
still a lot of product in it when you're on a punt at the beginning.
Yeah, so I costed out, because the other thing as well, what you can normally do is private label, right? So they'll have standard formulation, you have packaging you can use, they'll put your logo on it, but I didn't want to do that, so I wanted to formulate all my own makeup.
From the word go?
From the word go. Right, I didn't want to do standard formulation, because that's the thing for me there is differences for what I wanted in a men's makeup brand. I didn't want it thick and heavy, and I wanted matte finish. The smell as well was a big one for me. So anyway, I've been using my own funds at this point, my savings, but that opening order totaled 92 grand, including componentry, because I had to buy componentry from Asia. So I got it from China.
What's componentry for those who are listening who don't know? So like the individual bits of the bottles and the lids, and
because I designed everything. I went through loads of different. When I say design, I got hundreds of samples through, right? And so I wanted a particular bottle. So the bottles and componentry we got from China, but all the makeup, and then it was filled. So that's called free issue when you go to a manufacturer. So private label is where they do everything for you, and they can just charge you a set price.
Yeah.
Free issuing is where I supply them everything. The issue with a free issue is that your cost price or your outlay dramatically goes up.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because it's not just the bottles, it's the lids, it's the cartons, it's the labels. It's
all individual pieces rather than saying it's put together. Yeah.
So we had to design that all in house, just me and this girl, and learning on the road, like after opening dates and ingredients, direct use of directions. But it was the way I wanted to do it, because otherwise I thought it would be too feminine, the brand. So the opening order was 92 grand. And so I had to go and raise some money. So I went to a family member who came in and gave me 150 grand for a percentage of the business. So after all my opening order and everything, I had 20 grand working capital. And we started, it was me, and then I quit my job, and we went live on the 1st of November 2018. I had 20 grand in the bank, and I had to pay her a salary. I had a very average salary, and went from there. And in the first month, I did a real basic P&L, I'm calling it a P&L. It wasn't. It's a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
With like a couple of numbers on it, you know.
It's going to cost me about 5. I'm going to sell about 7. I'm going to make 2.5.
Someone's like, what's your cogs? I was like, sorry? Cogs?
Don't have any. I'm doing makeup, mate.
Yeah. And I forecasted 2.5 grand in the first month, and we did 11.
Wow.
And then second month it was 5 grand, and we did 28. And then third month I said 7.5 grand, and we did 36. And it was in a flat in Watford, and I was literally packing orders and putting them in my Fiat 500 that my dad gave me because I sold all my cars. Oh, I'm saying all my cars, but one car. I had a few watches as well, so I sold all of those. And then I was literally driving my Fiat 500 in the back because I'd missed it on a Friday. We were starting to get loads of orders, right? And when you start picking and packing at the beginning, it's amazing. You're like, oh my God, this is incredible. But eventually after about 4 days, you're like, fucking hell, I've got 70 orders I've got to pack. And then I missed I can always remember on a Friday night, I missed the cut off because I had to then bag them up and then take them down the post office. And they would give us sacks and stuff. And I missed the post office, so I had to drive around to find a Hermes shop at like 7:30 at night on a Friday. And then I found one. It was a corner shop, and I turned up with like 75 parcels. Imagine.
They're always so willing to help you in those places, but aren't they? They just love
to be
doing
fair,
that.
he actually liked it because I think they get like 50p each
okay,
one.
right.
So he was like, "Yeah, come in." But yeah, and then it's just, and then from then.
So how did you launch it? Like, did you just go straight into the running ads and promoting it? Yeah.
Yeah, like
no messing, straight in.
And that's the difference between, I think, now and compared to 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It was very difficult to grow a brand very quickly because marketing spend and outreach. But what is quite interesting, what I didn't do was use influencers.
Yeah.
Because I think 10 years ago, influencers were great in terms of starting a brand. So you could buy in Alibaba, right? You could buy a T-shirt in, you put a name across it.
Yeah.
You can give it to some influencers.
That's how, like Gymshark. That's how they started.
Yeah.
They just went all out influencers. Didn't do paid ads to start with.
But to be fair, Gymshark, which is like he designed his own.
Yeah.
You know, he made it himself for shot. Like hats off. Like he went the extra mile. Where
And he documented the whole thing as well, didn't he? Like,
Yeah.
Mum and Dad's garage, printing the actual,
Yeah.
the original, like the shark with the big bicep logo on it, and all that stuff.
he actually sewed them himself, right?
That's right,
like
yeah.
he designed everything, which I think is incredible, and that's what not that I looked at. I didn't know Gymshark were, but looking back, like that's exactly how I wanted to design my own. But what I think then happened, people saw the rise of like Gymshark, buying T-shirts in from China, putting a brand across it, giving it to a few influencers, and it did work for a while because everyone's like, oh my God, and then these brands were born out of nothing. But then that's totally diluted now. You know, there's a fashion brand every 2 minutes coming out.
Well, also the influencers are more switched on now, so they're charging more.
Yeah.
They're not taking. But before, like 10 years ago, you know, if you went up to an influencer and said, "Yeah, I'll give you 100 quid to wear this T-shirt," they'd be like, "Yeah, sweet," because they weren't really influencers back then. They were just people with followers. They didn't. That name didn't even. That phrase weren't even about. It weren't a thing.
No, you're right. Yeah, 100%. And then, so when I launched, I didn't want to necessarily go down the influencer route. So we. But what I wanted to do was what I thought before with the makeup market. It was so feminine. I wanted to do something completely different. So the marketing video we put together, I can remember it cost me $2,000. For me, it was a lot of money, right? Using an influencer called Carl Beaumont. Cool looking guy, right? Tattoos up to his neck.
Oh, yeah.
Really cool guy. And we did an amazing ad. It was like this guy getting ready. It's very different though to what anyone had done in the market. You know, very different. Like it was really then it was on trend. It still is now, but tattoos up to his neck, cool looking guy in a real cool flat, getting ready, cool music. And we put it out. It seemed to really work, but we got pelters at the same time, right?
Yeah,
we got absolute pelters. But that's what worked, right? Because then guys were going because I wanted to destigmatise or change the mindset of what guys were wearing makeup or could wear makeup, right?
Yeah.
Or give the option for, and it seemed to really work. But then. After 3 months, the girl who worked for me at the time, she put it on Twitter as an ad. And I can always remember this, right? So it's all going really well. 3 months in, got a little flat, a sort of office in Watford. And then she puts this advert out on Twitter. And I can remember it was my sister's birthday. So I was out for dinner with her that night and my family. And she calls me, this girl working for me. She's like, Dan, we're going viral. I was like, sorry. I literally didn't know what the word viral meant then.
Yeah.
I was like, what? So I looked at my phone and we had like 400 people on the site. I was like, what? And normally it's 4.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? At any one time, we have 400. So I looked at the advert she put on Twitter, which was the video of that guy.
Yeah.
And it had like 250,000 views within like 2 hours. And it was people killing it. Just saying toxic masculinity, this is ridiculous. Put the phone down, the phone again in about 20 minutes, 500,000. And I'm literally like that. I can remember my sister, she's had a few beers.
Yeah.
She's like that. I'm not, because I've gone quiet. And she's like, what's up? I said, that something's happened at work. She went, it'll be all right. I went, no, you don't understand. She went, no. And you know when someone doesn't know what's going on, she's like, trust me, it'll be fine tomorrow. I'm like, no, look again, 1 million views. And it's going everywhere. I'm like, I've got to go. In 24 hours, we had 8 million views. And we're trending #1 in the world on Twitter.
So were you worried there?
Oh my God, 100%, because it was just getting...
Because it was getting negative comments. You were worried. Right.
I thought
Why was it so negative? Why did everyone take it in such a...
Well, because it's brand new, I think. I think it's brand new. You got this guy who looks like a bit of an hard guy with tattoos and stuff, and he's putting on makeup. I can imagine, especially on a platform like Twitter, how it would.
Yeah.
Especially then, as you said, it was so new, right? No one approached it that way. But can you imagine? I was crushed. All this, I'm thinking the brands, because
I'd be loving it.
No, but now I would amplify it.
Oh right, yeah.
But-
Because I was going to say, because you were looking worried. I can see if it was. Yeah, I can see if it started going all of those comments and it was getting more and more views. You're like, did you even think about taking it down at one point? I bet. Should we just take it down?
Yeah. I actually said get it down. She said, well, it can't. It's gone now. It's like in the ether. Like, but the thing is,
you get crucified for that even more.
Yeah.
Oh, where's this video? And now it's disappeared online.
but that's being an entrepreneur, right? At the time, I was so worried and thinking the brand was dead, and genuinely I did. So I didn't sleep a wink. All I was doing was looking at the phone. So anyway, how about this? I go the next morning, get up, we're getting alerts. Every newspaper's writing about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, everyone. Yeah.
Go into the office the next day, a few people come in to try and help. What can you do? Do you know what I mean? I'm crying.
Yeah.
And every time you put the phone down, it's ringing.
Yeah.
Every time. And it's Daily Mail, Yahoo, CNN run it on their main news.
Cool.
And I'm like, what? I'm like, it's dead.
And what are they saying on the news? So what's the story?
Well, it's on
what's the
CNN main
narrative?
news, right? So they had the news, and then at the
Was
end,
like toxic masculinity goes viral, or
internet backlash over men's makeup brand Warpaint, and it's like literally, it was on CNN main news, mate.
yeah, Matt's loving it as a
I'm loving
marketer.
it.
It's like yes,
I'm loving
But
it. Yeah.
Marketer's dream.
Yeah.
but which you look at it now, I'm like, it's the best thing that ever happened to us. Because
sure.
Yeah.
While we were getting all this negative up front, right, which was harrowing, we had, like, bear in mind in a day, I don't know, I think we do like 400 quid in sales, something like that, right? 500 quid.
Yeah.
We did like 7.5 grand.
Yeah.
And then we had private messages saying, because what you're not going to do, right, when you see something like that going viral, you ain't going to put your hand up and go, I like what these guys are
Defend
doing.
it.
No,
Yeah,
of course not. Yeah.
And
you probably would these days. To be fair, you wouldn't 10 years ago.
No.
No.
Yeah, exactly right. Nowadays you would. You'd get like 50-50. But
Yeah.
back then, they would have seen it and then they'd just been like, I'm going to go and order some.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell them, but I'm going to go and order
These
some.
guys.
And then they go
Ordered
and
5.
Yeah, but they're, but then we started. So we got record sales, and I was like, well, actually, it might be all right. But it was like,
Which day is this? Is this a few days after?
No, like it happened 2 or 3 days. It was constant,
Right?
Like, constant, like news articles. But how weird was this, right? But previously, before that, I'd just agreed to go on Dragon's Den, right? So I was filming Dragon's Den on May the 8th. This went viral on May the 4th.
Wow.
And can you imagine? I'm like, what? But what that taught me, right? I was, of course, you read the negative comments. I don't read nothing now.
No, you can't.
Because we still get it, right?
You can't.
We still get it. And that's fine. People can have, what I always promote, have your opinions, do whatever you want to do, but you're not my customer, so I don't really care.
Yeah.
You know, there's people going, this is
Absolutely.
ridiculous, fine, mate, if that's what you think,
Yeah.
whatever. So I'd agreed to go on Dragon's Den, right, to film on May the 8th. So we went viral on May the 4th. The day before, I'm driving to Manchester to film Dragon's Den. This is how bad it was. I was pulling over to do interviews with America on the way out there.
Bloody hell.
Can you imagine? And then I was filming Dragon's Den the next day. And so we get up to film Dragon's Den. But what happened, which was fate, right? So I'm a massive believer in fate. So my car number plate is F8GRY on my Fiat 500. I'm not mega rich, guys, because I'm not there yet. I looked at the comments, but no one was taking the mick out of my story. right? Which taught me a lot. It was on the About Us, but it was very basic. It was text and it was about my story. But I didn't want it to be front and center when I launched the brand. Why I launched the brand? I wanted it to be more about Warpaint as a brand rather than my story. But no, not one comment was about my story, and people must have read it. Do you know what I mean? The press read it. They didn't mention it, right? So I made a conscious decision that on Dragon's Den, this needs to be about my story.
Yeah.
But the pressure then on Dragon's Den, it tenfolded, because if it had gone bad on Dragon's Den and I'd got the same reaction, the brand would have died.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And then a lot of the backlash would have been personally directed at you as well.
100%. And then so I made that conscious decision. So
it was a great decision though.
Yeah,
because that's what sells it.
Well, it was real though.
You know, I'm thinking about, no joke, I'm thinking about potentially trying out a bit of mascara now because of his story. Not because of everything else. It was what he said.
Yeah.
You know, that
you
sold
wouldn't
it
know.
to me.
You said you got makeup on, and I'm sitting a metre away from you, if that, and I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But he does look good.
I wouldn't be able to tell that.
And that's the point, right? Is about the mindset before with men's makeup, I think, was about
You look like a drag
When
artist.
Ashley comes in every morning, we can tell he's done his eyes and he's got makeup on. We can tell that.
Do you know why that is? Because he's not using Warpaint.
But like less than a metre away, you cannot tell that.
And that's the point. Like,
That's good. It's good.
Thanks. Before, men I think always assumed that it was eyeliner, lipstick, big bold colours, blushes. But all I use is to even out my skin tone takes me 5 minutes. Like, I get redness and spots like anyone does, shaving rashes. And that's the whole point for me. That's what it was about. So going on Dragon's Den, I made that conscious decision. And then, but why it was an even bigger decision was, so when you start building a brand or starting a business, it's a bit weird. I don't care what anyone else thinks. This was my mindset then. But locally, like James knows me, like locally, I don't know, like probably a bit of a Jack the Lad and like hasn't got a problem and would never think like he wears makeup, never think he's got body dysmorphia, doesn't suffer with mental health. So when I went out on Dragon's Den, I knew the world would know. And I wasn't worried about the world, which is a real bad mindset. I was more worried about people locally. And do you know what? I wasn't even worried about my mates, because not of them knew. I was worried about the people I don't even fucking like.
Really, yeah.
And that is such a bad mindset. And I've learned that you've got to move away from that. Do you know what I mean? The people I don't like, I was more worried about.
I know exactly what you mean, yeah. Because I talk about it a lot in my videos, actually, because it's something I got over. I became consciously aware of that when I was weirdly, it was so weird. When I was 30, I turned 30, and I've always wanted to do the videos that I do now, right? My motivational type, mindset-y type videos, because I'm a marketer, but that was something that I was a bit passionate about.
Yeah. And
I knew I had it in me to do it, like the content, because I do it in person, but I never put it out into the world. Literally, if you go back 5 years, nothing. And then when I turned 30, I realised that this whole time, through 7 years of my 20s, I wasn't doing what I wanted to do because of the fear of what other people would think. And then when I dove deeper into it, I was like, it's not even people I don't know. It's people that I went to school with. And this was weird. And I actually started identifying them. I was like, but I haven't seen him since I was at school. I haven't seen her.
Like in 15 years
I haven't seen her since she was at school. But I'm worried what they're going to be saying to each other, even though I don't see him anymore and we don't hang around with each other. I'm actually stopping my life being better because of fear of what these people it's a really weird thing, man.
I had it when
I overcome it, and since I overcome it, it's been amazing. And I try to tell people now that a lot of people I think have got that, they just haven't admitted it yet. Yeah. And once you get over it, mate, there's freedom in it. There's so much freedom when you can let go of the fear of what they think.
When I started telling, well, you got me on to tell my story in here, wasn't it? When we done
hated it, didn't you?
Yeah. I hated every minute of it because there's a part of it which not a lot of people know, which is about the bankruptcy, and that was 12 years ago, 11 years ago, and now, like, if you judged me now, you'd say, oh yeah, relatively successful, but all I felt that the only connection I could make is if I told that story now, I'd be judged as a failure now.
Yeah,
because people would judge you as a failure now. So that for years that prevented me from telling anybody. Just kept it completely quiet.
It's a massive crippling thing, I think, and I, honestly, it's like a weight lifted when I let it go. And because everyone likes to say, and I was the same all through my 20s, everyone likes to say, even when you're at school, I don't care what people think. You know, that's the thing everyone says, isn't it? Oh, I don't care what people think, though. But everyone, 90% of people do, if you really admit it. And then when you admit who those people actually are, because the real people that actually matter, the ones around you, they'll support you no matter what you do.
Yeah.
But the ones that you don't ever see, they're the reason why you're not doing it.
Somebody said to me, people are going to judge you anyway, so they might as well.
Exactly.
They might as well judge you for the real.
Yeah, and even if you're doing something great, amazing, they're still going to judge you anyway.
They're still going to judge you anyway. Yeah, because I didn't want them thinking like that. I could just picture these guys saying, "You see, Matt Wilson's doing these like motivational, like mindset videos now. What's he think? Who's he think he is?" That was the dialogue in my head. And then when I accepted it, though, I was like, "Fuck it." Then it became like this thing was, I ain't letting them do it. As soon as I admit it to myself, I was like, "Fuck that! I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to just do it." And then I started doing it, and I've done it ever since now. So
it's a massive,
really interesting what you said there.
It's a massive mindset change. And then so when I went on, like obviously straight away I told about body dysmorphia, and this is why I started the brand. And it was so weird, right? Because before I went on there, so it's all about valuation, right? When you go on Dragon's Den, about and just before I went on, this is about how I was learning about business. I valued the business at 2 million, right? So, but do you know what? This is what's even funnier, right? Now, because I know about like raising money now, VCs and everything, and valuations, how they work. So I valued business at 2 million. We turned over 200 grand in 4 months from standing start, right? That's to value at only 2 million. Do you know what I mean? Was ridiculous. But I made this change just before I went on. I was like, it's too much. It's too much. I'll do it at 1 million. So half the valuation before I walked on. Which was, it's just crazy.
When you was in the fake lift.
Yeah. Is it?
He can't say. For legal reasons, we'll never be talking about the lift or Dragon's Den. But so have they got the valuation information before? So are you allowed to just like drop the price?
No, look, you have to go loads of due diligence before. So everything you say, you have to prove, which is sense, right?
Before you go on?
100%. Yeah. Okay. So like when I said I did 200 grand, I'd sold 13,000 products. I had to prove I'd sold that many products.
Yeah.
And then we went on, did my opening pitch. I was nervous, right? And I'm normally, what I wasn't nervous about was their questions.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? I always say as an entrepreneur, salesperson, anyone, you need to know the future. And what I mean by know the future is that you have to have an answer for every single question.
For sure.
So you know what's coming up. And I'm not in that arrogant way. I was so comfortable and confident about, I know every answer because we were doing well. But what I was nervous about was because I just gone viral. And I was like, if I mess this up, I'm in trouble. And then, so I went on, did my opening pitch. I was literally shaking. And then questions started coming. And look, for 10 minutes, they went at me, ham. Yeah. Like, which you don't really see. And it was funny, they started asking questions. And then Theo Fetus, he was like, and he said, so what have you done before? And I'm like, I started doing this. Company, left at 16. I went to Mercedes, BMW, did car sales. And then he stopped me. Well, I didn't even tell the rest. He went, oh. So you are a car salesman who wants to sell men's TV. They talk so slow. I'm like, you want to sell men's makeup? And my answer, honestly, I was like, no, I'm a little bit more. But they didn't put that in, right? So anyway, and then it went on and on for about 10, 15 minutes. And they were asking me questions about sales, profits, GP, answer them all, but they don't show that in the show because I answered them, right? So it's not great telling.
Not good TV, yeah.
But then after 10, 15 minutes, it all switched and no one really said anything. And Peter Jones hadn't said a word. And then all of a sudden he turned around and went, and he was literally like, Daniel. I was like, all right, I was ready for like a grilling. He went, can I say that I'm absolutely blown away by you, the product, the market, the branding. He said, and I'm ready to put my Warpaint on. He says, I'm going to make you an offer. And it was out of nowhere. And I was like, what the And then he said,
that like? Is it like just like a weight of, thank God.
But it was, and he goes, I'm going to offer you all the money. And I said 70 grand. I can't even remember what it was, right?
12%.
12%. And he went, I'm going to give you all the money, but I want 20% of the business. So I've gone from this high to, are you having a laugh, mate? Do you know what I mean? 20% you threw out. But then everyone started saying really positive things, but you're in this bubble, right? And then it was going on and on and on. Everyone offered. And then eventually I went back and Tage and Peter teamed up, and then everyone else started teaming up. I can remember I was knackered because I was in there an hour and 45 minutes.
Wow. It goes on for ages. Yeah.
People don't realise how long. And then when they teamed up, everyone else started teaming up. But because I was knackered, I literally just did that. I went, guys, look, not trying to dismiss you, because they were all going to team up. I could tell. I went, look, Peter and Tage were the ones I wanted. So basically, let's not go through all that because it'll take forever. And then Tage and Peter, and then we had that negotiation, and I was going to walk away as well, without a question. So, and that's what they came down, and they actually cut it in the edit. They went down an extra 2 times. So there was 5 times back and forth. Right. DTV, they only showed 3 because it went on so long. Yeah. And I was just like, no. And then at the end, it was, and then
we had Theo on last week, and he was saying how long the pitch is. Like, you don't see it, but these pictures can sometimes go on for 2.5, 3 hours. It's like, so by the time you see that like 7-minute edit, like everyone's exhausted, everyone's been like in a fight for 3 hours.
Do you know what as well? Right, you don't see the edit, obviously. So a couple of things. I knew it was all right because we were last on the show, and they always leave the 15-minute segment at the end. Yeah, for the best one. Yeah. So anyway, I did the deal eventually, right? But in my mind, I was like, it's not a good deal. But because I was so young and not naive to business, I thought that was a done deal. I had to do it. So when I came off, right, obviously through the backstage, they were like quiet, taking all my mics off. I come around the corner, and the producer, the director, was crying. She was crying as I come off, and they were like, everyone was like, oh my God, like that. Oh my God. The director was like, that's the best one I've done in 7 years, directing the show. And I was fuming. But I was fuming because of the deal I'd done. So I didn't even enjoy it. I come off, and afterwards, they interview afterwards for a reaction, and I was fuming. And they were like, come on, be happy. I was like, no. I said, because I'm not happy with it. I said, I messed it up. I didn't do the great deal.
So what was the deal?
I've actually got about a minute of your pitch here. I've pulled it up on the magic of audio, so I play it.
Oh, go on.
It's about the first minute of the pitch. Hold on a minute. Here we go.
Hi, Dragons. I just want to start my pitch today by letting you know that I suffer from a mental illness. I suffer really badly with body dysmorphia. I'm telling you this is because of the reason that I founded my brand. My name's Daniel Gray, and I'm the founder of Warpaint for Men. And today I'm asking for 7% equity for a £70,000 investment. 20 years ago, I got bullied in middle school due to my appearance. That's affected me massively every day ever since. I started using my sister's makeup growing up to help me build back up that confidence, and it did just that. One thing I couldn't find, though, was a brand that I felt related to me as a man. So what I decided to do was create my own brand. We've been selling online for the last 6 months, and we've sold 13,000 products across the world. Turnover so far is just under 200,000, and we've had massive press coverage as well. Before I open up to any questions, I'd just love to invite one of the gentlemen up so I can give you a quick demo on the product.
Go on, Theo. You can't improve on perfection.
A candid pitch from Daniel Gray.
All I'll do is put in a tiny bit of concealer. If you can just remove your glasses for me.
Can I see before we've done the... Oh.
So all I'm going to do is literally apply a tiny bit under the eyes.
All right.
He's offering a 7% stake in his brand of makeup for men.
Your right eye probably looks better than your left currently at the moment. So.
One to the other side then.
And he's asked for an investment of £70,000.
Perfect.
With Ray flawlessly modelled by Theo Perfectis.
There you go, 10 years younger.
Well done.
In 10 minutes.
Tej Lalvani wants to find out more about the challenges that inspired Daniel to create the business.
Just quickly on that, right? If you heard, when I did my valuation, I stuttered.
Yeah.
And that's because I just checked it. So I'm like, 7, because I was going to say 5% for 100,000. Yeah. So I went on there, I'm like 7% for 70,000. That's why I started, because I literally just before I walked on there.
So what was the, because you said you weren't happy with it, so what was the final? You wanted to give away 7. What did you give away in the end?
12%. 12. And I don't know, I just come off thinking, I don't know, I just wasn't happy with it, you know. And I can remember driving back, and I wasn't happy. But then I was like, no, actually, it went really well.
Did you have a business partner by this point? 'Cause you brought in a CEO who, like,
yeah,
quite
not
a
at
big
this point.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
right.
not at this point.
How much did you give away to your family member that gave you the 150?
I
Oh, you can't say that.
yeah.
But because I was going to say it's probably related it to that
Too
as well.
much.
Yeah.
No, too much looking back at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then that was it. And then afterwards, and then the edit's done, right? So you don't know what the edit's going to be like.
Right.
So I can remember, but I knew it went well, right? But I didn't know what the edit's going to be like. And it's funny. So when it was aired, it was like September. And I had all my mates around my sister's house. There's like 40 of us. Bouncy castles up. So I'll get absolutely ruined during the day. And then we watch it. And can you imagine, though, it was the most amazing thing because I had all my family there. It was like 50 people.
Oh, amazing.
And every time the negotiations, it was like a football match.
Yeah.
Because I'll be, no, I'm not doing the deal. Like, and then afterwards, I'm like, I'm in bits, right? Because it was so good. And my mates are going, my God, Dan is trending. It's trending on Twitter. Like, because I had no socks on. It was like, Dan to negotiate, no socks, Dan negotiate Brexit was trending or something like that. we did like 20 grand in sales.
Wow.
20 grand in half an hour, right? And then messages like come through, and then the next day it was on the Daily Mail. Which, to be fair, that's when I realised it did go well because Dragon's Den happens all the time, and it's never really written about in the media.
Yeah, for sure.
And Daily Mail put up best one in 14 years.
Yeah.
On Dragon's Den. So,
I've skipped forward to your actual negotiation here, so we can. This is the bit where you've just had five. You've just had 5 offers, and then you're at the back of the room having a little think, and then you walk back to speak to them.
Thank you all very much for your offers. I really appreciate it. Just got a couple of questions, if that's all right. First of all, Peter, can you just give me a bit more about what you think you can do with the brand in terms of where you think you can push it?
Taking this brand and going global would need serious e-commerce assistance.
Yeah.
And I own a company that takes brands into multiple territories all over the world from an
He's
e-commerce
making
perspective.
them pitch him. He's a genius.
Do you know what? Actually,
contact in Boots.
I actually thought that at the end,
So
turn it back on them.
I would be willing to share with Tej, and you get 2 dragons for the price of 1.
I think I'm happy to do that, 10% each for a total of £70,000. I'll do the deal.
And also, we're going to war here. This is a brand for men, run by men.
Deborah.
You felt that, didn't you? Even you felt that.
I don't think you're allowed to say that now, are you?
No, that's why on my face I was like, oh my God, what
The
is...
tall fella at the end, and he should apologise for that because the ladies here are far more capable in a lot of the areas that the guys at the end claimed they could do.
I agree with that.
So
Obviously correct.
Thanks, everyone. I really appreciate it. 20% for me is a very, very big chunk. I know we've mentioned 15%, which is still very high for what I wanted to do. So, has anyone got any thoughts where they can maybe just come down?
Okay, look, I really want to make it happen, so I'm happy to drop down to 15%.
I'd be happy to drop down to 15%, 7.5% each.
Can we come down ever so slightly more? Because obviously that's not over double what I was willing to give away. I know we were talking about the value you'll bring, but I think this company can be worth a serious amount of money in 3 years' time. And I'm not disowning you. It's just I had an idea of when I came in here the sort of dragons that I was keen with, and it was both of these two.
Daniel, what about 7% each?
I was thinking about 6% each. 12%, I can't go higher than that.
What about 7% each? And if we get our money back, we'll drop to 6% each.
6% each, and can we do a deal now? Because I generally feel that's fair. We've got a massive track record, we've got revenue, we're good to go. So I would have to stick at 12%.
Let's do it. Let's do it. 6%.
He's done it! He's out negotiating the dragons, everybody. Phenomenal. What was it like? Because even like watching it back now, talking about it like 3 or 4 years later, we've all sitting behind the screen and going, go on, Dan, go on, Dan. These guys have collectively known you for about
More
5
as
minutes.
well. There's even more like negotiation than that. So, but
What was it like?
Like, let's summarise that. How you said about what, an hour, over an hour you was in there.
Hour and 40
They've
minutes.
clipped that to 11 minutes on the YouTube video.
So it was draining, really draining. But so afterwards it went really well. Got a load of press attention out of it, and then I didn't do the deal afterwards. So, and then we just started launching in retail all over Harvey Nichols, and then we had the first ever men's makeup counter in John Lewis.
You didn't do the deal. Your choice.
To be confirmed. It'll be out in a book in about 30 years.
I can't really say.
But like now looking back, you're happy that you made that?
Yeah. Well, put it that way, the business was valued at effectively 600 grand-ish, right? And then didn't do the deal, and a few months later we got valued at nearly 10 times that.
Yeah.
So it just shows you that, but that's the difference between raising real money in a TV show. Not in a bad way.
Yeah, because it was 70 grand and they were going halves. It's like 35 grand each, you know.
It's for the
For a
telly,
big
isn't
chunk.
it? It's for the telly.
But yeah, that all went well. Started launching in retail, and then just conscious of time, mate, because not for me personally, but I know you finish at 9. And then for launching retail, I had the first ever men's makeup counter in John Lewis, which was surreal, and then that went viral. Like, the guy from the Sunday Times just walked in, called us at the office and went, "Fate again, yeah?" He said, "I've just seen what you're doing in John Lewis." He's an investigative reporter as well, nothing to do with, and he's famous. He's like a famous reporter, and he called and he said, "Can I get an exclusive on it?" I was like, "Well, is it going to be a good article?" Literally, I can remember saying that. He was like, "No, yeah, I think it's amazing what you're doing." So he wrote a piece in the Sunday Times. It was on page 6. It was like a few paragraphs. I was like, "Oh, that's wicked." Come in the next day, poof, the phone is going off the hook. LBC, first of all, at 6 a.m. Can you come straight on the radio? Then I did back-to-back interviews for a week at John Lewis, then on Channel 5, Sky News, Jeremy Vine Show, BBC Morning News, and then that gave us a massive brand. And then off the back of that, we did partnerships with Norwich City. So I sponsored Norwich City, which the whole partnership was nothing about product. What I said, I'm not coming up here like marketing. I'm not coming up here and putting product on players. It's not what I'm about. So we did a whole series around breaking stereotypes. So I met with Stephen Fry. We did a talk about, and it's nothing about product. It's about sitting like this and talking about stereotypes within football. Sponsored Wigan Warriors, which is incredible. Went up there, did halftime challenge and all the stores, stuff like that. And then we just opened the first ever men's makeup store in the world on Carnaby Street in London. So we launched that 2 months ago. Wow. And then, but I'm fast forwarding really quickly because.
So where are in terms of like brand size now? Where are you now? You mentioned you were doing 400 quid a day in sales. I know you can't say you probably won't say too much, but give us an indication 10 years later where it's got to.
It was I only launched it November 18. So in 3 years we've more than doubled revenues year on year. So it's going all right. But look, it's men's makeup, yeah? It's a tough market. It's tough. Yeah. So funny enough, we're just doing a crowdfund right now. It's launching on Tuesday. Really good valuation in my eyes. Like, unbelievable. When you look at crowdfunding, some of the valuations that are put up there, pre-revenue, 5, 6, 7 million. So our valuation is 8 million, which is a steal for me. But we're doing it because we're just about to launch a skincare range next year, which is going to be, that takes us to another level. So, because anyone who wears makeup, but look, skincare is, and we're in retailers all over the world, they're all screaming out, we need distributors. So you've got a skincare range, like huge distributors, we want to put you everywhere. So, but I didn't want to rush into that, and it's taken a year of development. So,
that'll take you more mainstream, won't it?
Well, it's much bigger market, isn't it? Yeah, much bigger market.
Well, the men's makeup market is estimated to be worth 1.4 billion, and then the skincare market's grooming market for men is 16.9 billion.
Yeah, 16 times 16x. Yeah. So it's because what you've got to sort of battle with over the next couple of years is like you said, just reconditioning the market. Yeah, you know, reprogramming all their minds that it's okay to do it. Yeah, but your story helps do that. Yeah, and it's just a choice for me, just having men having a choice. So I think the brand, and look, we did a poll of our customers, and they're like, everyone, can you have a skincare range? Because they're bought into the brand. Yeah. So, and then off the back of that,
like Warpaint. So the crowdfunding is open now. If anyone's interested, there's a pre-reg page on our website. If you're interested, I think it's definitely a great shout. So
we've actually pinned that to the top of the room. So if you are interested, it's something that's.
If you would like to own a stake, if you'd like to do something that a dragon couldn't, and own a stake in this business,
love that. Great pitch, mate.
Imagine if Theo and them lot find out about it and then they go and buy.
They might chuck in a tenner.
Yeah.
But you can look. You can do a tenner. You can do whatever you want. And that's what's great about crowdfunding. You can just £10 up to £100,000, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
So, but then off the back of that, I was getting loads of customers reach out to me, right? Like ridiculous amounts, mums, dads, but they wanted to talk to me about mental health because I've been very vocal about it and how I manage it. So I was having calls late at night with parents and all sorts. And a girl messaged me on Instagram and she was like, look, my boyfriend's just told me, I've been with him 2 years, that he suffers with body dysmorphia and he's never told me. And he's told me because he's followed your journey. Could we have a call? So I was like, yeah, of course. So we had a Zoom. It was a Friday night. And she was sat forward and he was sat behind her, right? And his face, he literally was in bits. And he's a good-looking lad. So he was where I was like 8 years ago. And she just asked me questions like, we just found out. So how about this? So mental health, the average length from when you first feel something to reaching out is 10 years on average. So around those 10 years, it gets worse and worse. You don't go anywhere. If you Google it, you're going to die. So this guy had gone through that process. Eventually, he reached out to his GP, and he's in bits. Like it was horrendous to even see him. And the GP said, "Well, you've got body dysmorphia, but you need to go and see a specialist via the NHS." And the lead time was 32 weeks. So he's in crisis. He's got to wait another 32 weeks. So they want to speak to me about. So she was just asking me a load of questions, and the thing she said to me was, but I don't get it. I'm telling me he looks great all the time. And I was like, I said, I'll be honest, for me, that's probably the worst thing you could have said to me at the time. She was like, what? I was like, because when I'm in that moment, I'm getting ready multiple times. Someone just say, you look great. In my head, I'm like, fuck off. You don't know what's going on in my head. That's not going to help me. And he was sat behind just nodding like that. And so it clicked with me about information around mental health and how much it's lacking, or access to the right information from the right sources. So some technology became available to me in Warpaint. Latest AI video tech where you can effectively have a conversation with someone. And then so I came up with the concept of launching a mental health brand called Jack, JAQ, just ask a question. So I launched that. That was 7 months ago and we launched 3 weeks ago. And that's had huge press coverage as well. Built big celebrities on there. But effectively on your phone, on your laptop, you can literally, I've got world leading doctors on there for depression, body dysmorphia. And they sat on your phone, so it's all pre-recorded. And you can ask a question like, press a button and go, what is depression? The world leading doctor will answer it for you. So nice. It's scalable. So I launched that 3 weeks ago. Managed to be on the One Show, Good Morning Britain. Got Alistair Campbell on there, David Harewood. Jimmy Carr's coming on it, film with him in January. I've got a massive meeting next week in football to do something as well. So that's a real project for me now.
Good.
How do you juggle that? Because the business Warpaint is successful up at to a certain extent, valued up at 8 million quid. You've still got a small team. You've not taken any external funding. I imagine you've had VCs.
Oh, we've taken money.
Oh, of course. Sorry, yeah, but you haven't
VC
taken big
backed.
sort of like big institutional money sort of thing. Mm. So you're still very much in the growing this business stage. So how do you kind of in your head justify splitting your focus between a growing business? 'Cause that's a full-time gig, and also Jack's a full-time gig if you wanted it to be. Like, how did you get to the point where you're like, I've got to have to find a way to split my time here? Because
the thing is, for me, brands, what you need to identify to be a real brand, right? You need to have a mission. And it's so much so that, like B Corp certifications out, all investors are looking for purpose-driven brands. And where we were a purpose-driven brand of Warpaint, about what's the bigger story, what's the bigger drive? It's about me, mental health, giving men choices to feel comfortable to use products. If you're a guy and you want to wear a dress, go and wear a dress. If you want to do this, do whatever you need to be the real you. So that's our mission. But what we're doing to actually help that, we're selling product. I wanted to do a lot more, right? So by creating Jack, that solidifies Warpaint as we're not bullshitting. I'm not just doing it to make money. By spending my time and effort and resources to create Jack, it isn't a direct link. And that is because it shows that we're mission-led rather than, when people say, oh, it's sustainable or we're carbon negative. How are you carbon negative? I can be carbon negative in 8 minutes. Do you know how I do that? I use Shopify as a platform. I can download an app on Shopify and donate X amount of my order to a app that then plants trees in another country.
Or so they say.
Or so they say. But my point is that then people will hang on that and say, well, look, we're carbon negative brand. And it takes 8 minutes to download the app and install it. Yeah. Is that really making a difference? Okay, it is in terms of maybe it does work and you're carbon, but that's very easy. That's an easy. And again, that whole influencer thing I talked about before, that's what worked before. That's what worked now, possibly with carbon negative or whatever. But now I think brands have to do much more to be real. Yeah. And so that's why. Absolutely. That's why for me, Jack is integral to Warpaint.
Did you also get to a certain point where, oh man, I mean, that Friday night Zoom phone call with the girlfriend and the guy who can't even sort of sit near the screen, did you get to a point where you're like, I am not qualified to deal with the questions I'm getting? Obviously you can advise based on lived experience, but you're not a qualified, psychotherapist or psychiatric expert. You are someone who lives with a mental health condition and deals with it in the best way that you know how. But did you ever, get these sort of messages you like, I actually don't know how to handle these sorts of things? So is Jack almost like a way that you can, at scale,
definitely
like help more people, but also like protect yourself in a way because you don't qualify to give that assistance?
So what we've got in Jack is world-leading doctors and people with lived experience. So we've got Alistair Campbell with depression, we've got David Harewood, the English actor, for psychosis, we've got me for body dysmorphia, Jimmy Carr's coming on for anxiety, but then we've got world-leading doctors opposite them, right?
Yeah.
Because I can give my information and my story, which will help people, because you can give tips or like what helped me, or, like I said to that girl, like maybe don't say to him, you look great, maybe have a break.
Yeah.
That sort of information. But then the problem is, which I said, is that he's got to wait 32 weeks to get in front of a doctor.
Yeah.
And in that first 3 sessions, apparently, all they do is give information. So by creating Jack, we're giving it scale, free of charge, by the way. You don't have to pay to go on the website. It's completely free to have a conversation with a world-leading doctor. And you can ask him, for depression, 168 questions. Wow. And if you try and write 168 questions down for depression, I bet you probably can't. So that's how much he spoke for 7 hours. Professor David Veal, OBE, he's the one who, Paul Gilbert, for depression, OBE, he's literally renowned in the world for it. And you can ask him medication, side effects, what's your top tips, everything.
Amazing. How fantastic. We're going to have a little quick reset and then I reckon we'll give the opportunity to, got loads of people messaging in the back channel saying they've been blown away by this conversation. Absolutely loving it.
We'll take some questions.
We'll take some questions for sure.
Just before we go for the reset, we are live on YouTube. You can click on the link that's now at the top of the screen in Clubhouse and you can watch the live stream of this on YouTube. We'll be back after this.
You are listening to Breakfast with Winners. Exclusive content direct from the Winners Club. If you are enjoying the conversation, click on the green Monopoly house at the top of the screen right now and join the thousands of winners already in our community. For even more actionable content and powerful lessons, download the free companion app now. Just search for the Winners Club in the App Store or Google Play. For more information about the Winners Club and how to become part of our growing community, head to thewinnersclub.club. Now, back to the show.
Right, we are back. We're back. We had so many people messaging in the back channel saying that this has been a motivating, easy for me to say, motivating and inspiring conversation. So I'd love for you guys to get the opportunity to ask Daniel a question if you would like to do so. So if you're on stage, mods and speakers, feel free, flash your mic, wave your hands in the air like you just don't care. If you've got a question that you'd love to ask to Daniel, whether it be about Warpaint or what he's doing with Jack or all the sort of the TV and the press stuff and the marketing stuff or being a mission-led brand, anything you'd like to ask around that, please feel free to flash the mics or pop us a DM, pop either me or Paul a DM in the background if you'd like to ask your question and we will put it to him. So we will go to Beju, aka the Sniper. Over to you, pal.
Thank you, James. Good morning, Dan. Really, I've been in the gym. Listen, really impressive.
Thanks, mate.
Not just your story, but how you articulate it in the simplest way. It's not about ego. It's about you've got Warpaint, which is a vehicle, but like you say, there's this bigger mission about the mental health agenda.
Thanks,
My question is what you've not mentioned government once within that, which is I'm just saying, is that something whereby you think, I don't want to get involved, there's sort of too much red tape, or do you see there's plans where there's some sort of connection or collaboration with government where you can create some policy change in mental health agenda or whatever? Is there any conversations around that?
100%. Hey, thanks for your question. Thanks for the message. That means a lot, buddy. Look, so what I'm doing with Jack It's mission. It's a massive mission, right? And the issues for me, education at the moment, mental health is severely lacking within young people, the schools, because that's where it needs to happen, right? It's all about prevention. So with Jack, if you have a chance, go and have a look at it. It's jaq.co.uk. I want to get this to be utilised in schools. I've had a call with the Department of Education. They want me to trial it in 10 schools. And this is a scalable way for people to get access to information about mental health that's never been done before. Can you imagine this in a school, right? So we've got these celebrities, and a school teacher can turn around and go, use Jack as a platform, and rather having someone in, like, I don't know, middle-aged, white shirt and a lanyard coming in to talk about depression, imagine you go to a school kid, Sarah, do you want to come up and ask, I don't know, Jimmy Carr a question about anxiety? Yeah, I'll do that. Like, this is how we're going to change education in the schools. The other thing I've got with Jack as well, I've converted a van into a mobile Jack. Literally a mobile Jack that we're going to be taking to schools. It's all kitted out. You literally sit in the back of the van. It looks like a home cinema, and you have a question and you can have an interaction. So I've already had discussions with the Department of Education. I had a meeting with, not a meeting, I met Savage Javid. And I pitched to him Jack before it launched. So he's given me his PA's details. So I'm waiting to build up because I'm doing some massive activations over the next couple of months. We're doing a huge one, hopefully in football, and we've got a huge one with Wigan Warriors and Warrington Wolves. We're doing they're dedicating a whole game, and we're doing a world record challenge as well. We're going to get people signed up to it with vans outside, and then we're going to go and drop a letter to the government and make a change, because that's what needs to happen. And it's kids in schools where this will change everything. So you train all your life to become a boxer. You have your first fight, goes 12 rounds. It's really hard work. You beat that person, and what happens next? A bigger person comes with a better record. And you have to do it again and again and again and again. So what you need to do at some point is stop and look back and see what you've achieved. So I started doing that, and it totally changed my mindset. And then off the back of that, I stopped worrying about what people were thinking. And at the beginning, because when I started the brand at the beginning, that's when I cared the most, because you haven't proven anything, which is where it's really tough. So if I could change anything, it's just my mindset probably from the beginning. So it's just been a learning curve for me to be more positive about and not care what other, and literally now when I was getting those positive, negative messages when we went viral, it really affected me. We get them still now because of what we do, but it doesn't bother me literally one bit. So
do you read the messages?
No, not anymore. There's no point, So the team go through them and we reply. But as I said before, if someone turns around and says, "Oh, this is ridiculous, makeup for men, how ridiculous is this?" And fine, mate.
And are those comments coming from men or women? Or both?
But this is the thing, right, which I think we've had a big influence in. When I launched the brand, no one was talking about men's makeup, right? No press articles were written, zero, about men's makeup. And we've got a spreadsheet now, we've been over 700 press articles. And that's not being arrogant, that's a shade. Look how much has been talked about that. And literally after the negative comments and pieces on the news, we've got a positive, negative column. They're all positive since. So now the comments are far less. Where before it was probably 70% were negative. It's probably it's probably like 20% now. So that's us making a change in the market.
What I'd like to say is that anyone in business, they probably get that negative feedback from close people. You've probably you've had that in your journey. Men's makeup, what would so you probably had it amplified of something like people being negative on top of you, like people that haven't got the same mindset. What would you say to someone if they come to you and just said how do I handle this? What's your knee-jerk reaction to someone who's, as you said earlier, suffering with that attack?
It's about what was touched on earlier. It's your close people you listen to, right? So all my mum, my dad, my mates, my missus, all of those have been so positive, and they're the ones that I listen to. I don't listen to anyone else, because you'll always have that negative feedback. So always listen to your people around you. And if maybe they're saying, look, it's time to stop, or do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's maybe not going as well as you think, and that's when you should listen. But your closest people who you trust will be positive around you. So just listen to them. That is all you need to do, because they're the ones who matter.
And does it just fuel? Does it fuel the fire now because you know how to handle it? So if you do get,
because we don't get as much negative now, or any press we do or anything like that, it's always positive. It's very much positive. So that's nice now, but. Yeah. The negative comments, it literally doesn't even bother me, because the brand's already come, and we get so many positive. That's what I look at now. Because this is the other analogy I give. When you go for a meal, right? And you go to the best restaurant, and you have an amazing meal, amazing service. You love the meal, great night. What do? You get out and walk out the restaurant. Go back to the same restaurant. You have an amazing meal, but the waiter was maybe a little bit off. What do? You complain. So that's all you got to think, is that people always want to complain about negatives, and it's very rare that you get the positives. So when you do get those positives, just focus on those. And by the way, if you go for a restaurant and you have a good meal, just tell them it was good service.
We've had a question come in on YouTube comments. What's the best-selling product?
The best-selling product is the two that have been are the concealer and the tinted moisturiser. And it's interesting with the tinted moisturiser because it's not a moisturiser with colour in it, which is a tinted moisturiser. It's a BB cream, so it's makeup based, but it has moisturising quality in it. So it's a very, very fine foundation. So what happens, guys come, buy a tinted moisturiser, put it on, they go, holy shit, my skin looks amazing. Well, normally a tinted moisturiser doesn't do it, it makes you look orange, right? So they put that on, they go, oh my God, and then they're in, then they come back, but our biggest revenue driver is our full set, everything. And that's what happens with guys, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Go all in, yeah.
They go all in, buy the lot, mate, because it looks good on the side, doesn't it?
All the gear, no idea.
yeah.
You find a new hobby as a man and you just have to buy everything.
Yeah.
So how knowing that sort of the tinted moisturiser is one of the best selling things, and almost knowing that you need like the gateway drug for a lot of people, how excited are you for the skincare range? Because like you say, you're going from a $1 billion market to a $16 billion market with momentum behind you.
Like massive. And I think because men's grooming has exploded, right, over the last 20 years. But think about it. Skincare does not make you live a day longer. It does not prolong your lifespan, but it does reduce your wrinkles and makes you feel better. And that's the thing with guys now. Guys are getting their haircuts now every 4 weeks instead of every 6 weeks. More barbershops.
Shipman goes every week.
I go every week. I haven't had it cut for a week, and I was like, it's panicking me. But that just shows the movement, right? But the problem is now it's getting crowded, the skincare market.
Metrosexual, isn't it? Well,
it's everything, right? What you wear and stuff like that. Just if you feel, it makes you feel confident. But if the skincare market is so crowded because so many people going into it, it's very hard for them to have a brand identity, right? And are you really doing it for the right reasons? Or you can see there's a gap in the market, but we're doing it for the right reasons, right? Someone who's wearing makeup, I have a skincare routine. A lot of them will have skincare routine, so it goes hand in hand. But it will open the market up massive for us, massive. Like we've already had distributors, retailers screaming for it, so I'm really excited. But we started it in May. It's not going to be ready till May, June next year because we're doing it properly, right? We're going for a full. Like literally 2 days ago, I had to smell about 100 scents. So and then it came. No, that was about 2 months ago, and then yesterday we got the first samples in with the smell. The smell is incredible.
Is it good?
Like the smell, obviously the product, the ingredients.
Bit of sandalwood.
But it's the business. So I'm excited.
Fantastic. We said we were going to go to Lainey next. Lainey, over to you for a question.
Thank you, Paul. And thank you so much, Danny, for joining us today and for your wonderful story. So my question is, as a founder, what was the most difficult part of starting up? And I would like to know what's next for Warpaint.
Hi, thanks for your question. Thanks for listening. The hardest thing for me, people always ask me this. I think, to be honest, it was the self-doubt. It was the self-doubt, the imposter syndrome. It wasn't necessarily, it's hard to start up, right? Let's not get it. It's not easy. And it's not for everyone. Like, I had to learn everything about the beauty market, about product, I made so many mistakes. I know it's cliche. It was unbelievable. I bought products, 10 grand's worth of products, I'd throw it in the bin. But it was the self-doubt, you know, when you go and meet VCs and they're saying, well, this business could be worth X in X amount of years. And I'm sitting there going, yeah. And then in my head, I'm going, how? And they believe in you so much, which is amazing. But I'm going, how can I do this? You know, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
So that for me has definitely been the hardest thing, trying to get my mindset from that to, it's still not there. It's still not there. I still have doubts every day, but it's getting a lot better. And then what's next for Warpaint? Skincare market. We've got warehousing in the US, Australia, Canada, opening up more retail partners. And look, and everyone says, what's next? And like, how big do you want it to get? If I could stay right here, right now, I would, do you know what I mean? I would be happy because I enjoy going to bed every night because I can't wait to get up in the morning, even though it's the hardest thing I've done. And I feel privileged to do that. So
as you've as it's grown and you've got more press articles and more coverage and more investors from VCs, have you felt that pressure on you?
Of course, yeah. And that's what builds. The bigger you get, the more pressure there is. You know, so
And what do you do to cope with that?
It's hard.
Talk to Jack.
Yeah, like, that's what I want it for, you know. Like, honestly, because it's the loneliest place in the world.
Yeah.
Being a founder, right? Because it is all on you, but you've, as I said, just look back on what you've achieved. Like, even if you don't get to a level possibly where, I'm not saying we're huge, but where we're at and we've had the press, even if you start something and it's just ticking over and you're just about to earn the money and you can live, right? That's a massive achievement. That is a massive, you should be proud of it. So and sometimes you can have a lot of negative come towards you and you need to grow, you need to do this. Of course we do need to do that, but just try and enjoy it, because otherwise it'll literally drive you crazy. So
how are you going to transition? Because obviously you started off like creating a brand, and then you sort of walked into Dragon's Den. You're like, actually, I need to tell these lot my story. I need to put myself front and center to make them understand why this brand even exists in the first place. So you've gone from creating a brand to using your personal story to now it's becoming bigger than you because it's becoming a movement, and then you're combining it up with Jack. How are you, as you sort of go back to it being about the brand and about the mission, which is bigger than your story? Does it get easier, or does it get harder, or does it just get different?
So what happens, obviously, as we're going, before I had to do everything, right? So customer service, picking and packing orders, but now, you know, I'm moving not away, like more into the brand, but more about the brand, right? And about the brand, and that's what I enjoy. And someone said to me once, you've got to stop working in the business and work on the business, which is the best bit of advice I've ever had, because when you're in the business and you're doing the customer service, you're doing all these bits, you forget about the brand. And that's what all I'm going to do is create this. Do you know what, right? The analogy I use again is I want to be 60 years old, sat in a pub, and some people come up and say, like, you have a conversation, don't know him, like, what do you do? And you go, I started a men's makeup brand a few years ago. And they go, or years ago, they go, God, wasn't that Warpaint, was it? And it's nothing about products. It's about what the brand's done and made. And then, you know, imagine them following it on and going, at the end, I started something called Jack. And they go, what, you did Jack? And then that is not because of an ego. That's because that's what my kids will think.
Yeah, I like that.
And the mission behind it.
Yeah, exactly. And the product is amazing, right? We've never had, it is incredible. And every retailer just launched a Sephora in Australia. And they said it's incredible. You know, Sephora. So the makeup is great. That's fine. That's a given. But it's about the brand and what we're trying to do.
So you say your target market is for someone that wants to feel more confident. How are you going to tap into a market of someone that would never even consider makeup?
Well, that's it. Like
skincare range, gateway.
Yeah, it's a gateway. It's a gateway, right? So if you trust us with skincare, you might try a tinted moisturiser and then go, actually, like, it's not all about confidence. It is a lot. It's not. You don't have to have not any confidence to wear makeup or try it.
I just want to look sexy, Shipman.
Yeah, like yeah. But you say you get your haircut every week, right?
Yeah.
You're trendy. You just like, you obviously care about your appearance. Like, some guys are like, oh, I've got dark under eyes, I feel like shit. The amount of guys who say that to their missus, or, you know, I've got a spot on the end of my nose. Like, okay, if we put 100 guys in the room and put a massive spot on all of their noses, 95% of them, I guess, is that they're going to be conscious about it, right? So what about just saying, well, here you go, so it's okay just to wear a bit of concealer just to cover it up, and then it's like, right, it's done, I can get out, I don't have to worry about it all day.
I've reached for my wife's cover stick occasionally.
Yeah, you could have done with a bit today.
I was just about to throw that question to the panel before I admitted that. No.
But that's sort of like jokey language. That shows where we're at still. Before I admitted it, there's still that thing, isn't it? And that's what you've kind of turned the tide of. The fact you've made it more acceptable to even consider that sort of stuff. I think, like you say, then the skincare thing comes in, like, well, you use Mrs. Moisturiser now. I cleanse, tone and moisturise, bruv, don't you? Yeah. Mug. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's become so much more.
Well, do you think about 10 years ago, guys like 15, 20 years ago, the older generation hardly wore deodorant, right?
Yeah.
32% of our customers are over 50 years old.
Really?
So that shows you about the older generation. And again, I go back, skincare's not going to make them live longer, but it makes them feel better because it reduces wrinkles. So why not use a bit of product to cover up dark under eyes, or rosacea, or broken capillaries on your nose? Or
there was a great one of your early videos, wasn't he? Like it was a London cabbie or something. He was like in his 60s.
Yeah,
like, just like a normal geezer from the pub, and he's like, I just wear it on a Friday.
Yeah, that's it. You have to wear it every day.
Yeah,
you know, it's just. And the other thing for me, if you know there's an option there, it stops this. And what I mean by this is the worry.
Yeah.
So if someone's got, and the other thing as well, right? Let's not forget about the people. So one of the best stories I ever had, I only launched a few months, a mum messaged us in saying, I had to message you because my son suffers with rosacea. He's 16 and it's debilitating for him. He won't have his photo taken.
What's that?
Rosacea, where you have real redness.
Oh,
his
okay.
face. I tried to get him to wear women's makeup and he'd never try it. He would never try it. Found your brand. He tried it because he thought it looked great, it looked cool. And she sent a photo of him to me.
Oh, really?
And she said, I'm crying as I sent that. Now that, mate, that beats fucking £100 million of a business.
Yeah.
Trust me, when you get stuff like that.
Unbelievable. Fantastic. Right. What a great...
Tarek, we've got a question from Tarek. I think he's been flashing away in the clubhouse room. Tarek, are you there?
Yes, hi. Thank you so much for bringing me up on stage. And Danny, wow, that was so interesting listening to everything you've said, your story.
Thanks, Tarek.
So much of what you've shared, I really resonated with. And, you know, funny enough, I was talking to one of my close friends not long ago, and we were talking about my company and success. And she asked me a question that was a big slap on the face. She was like, are you scared of success? And that's when it really hit me. And, you know, when you were sharing about the moment when you started getting all this recognition and the messages and the calls, how did you cope with that? Because honestly, like I've realized now, like this is a big, like it's a great thing, but I'm terrified of it. Like how did you deal with it? And how, yeah, I'd love to hear it.
So effectively you're terrified of what you could create, right? And I think what that is self-doubt of what I talked about earlier. And, you know, when I sit in front of VCs, we're only 18 months old and they're giving valuations and what it could be worth and the market. And, you know, I sat there, mate, and I'm that's talking about success or what it could be. And my self-doubt was there's no way I can do that. There's literally in my head, I was like, oh my God, there's no way. And that's what the fear of success is that you can't do it. And what I'd say is, I know everyone says that you 100% can. It's a mindset change. Once you start being positive stuff happens. And that's how I sort of flicked to, but you can't just do it overnight. It can't be a flick of a switch. You have to program yourself to believe in what you're doing. And the other thing I'd say is, if you are successful, Tarek, and it is going well, just be proud of it and say, what my advice is don't look too much into the future and say it's got to be this big. Because once someone puts a figure on it or a value or a size, that's when you start comparing to that rather than what you've done. So I would suggest just looking at what you've done and be proud of it and then just enjoy the journey rather than, right, I've got to this point, I need to get to the next point, because that's what I did. And it's like now, honestly, I'd be happy if it all failed tomorrow because of whatever, I'll still be very proud of what we've achieved. And that's a massive difference mindset, mate. So that's what I think you've got to do.
What would you say was like been one of the biggest challenges, other than the press articles, within like the business operations, you getting it going? Like it seems like you've had your challenges, but have you had them times, as most business owners do, of like
100%, mate. Yeah, like there was a time where it debilitated me, you know, in terms of my mental health because of something that was going on, and I thought, why am I doing it? And I almost gave it all up, mate, and it was going all right. So I can't really talk about why, but you're going to have those moments. And do you know what? The other thing as well, because I'm quite fast paced, I think all the time, if something's not happening, or, you know, a day can change. Do you know what? An email can change everything. One phone call can change everything. You could all of a sudden be like, nothing's going right, everything's going wrong. All of a sudden you get a ping of an email, and it's like, Jesus, I don't know, a massive retailer wants to meet you out of the blue. You're like, what? Or something happens, you know, and when you're in that moment, it's hard to see further forward. And that's again, mindset. Like when stuff's not going right, you think it's the end and it's not going to get better, but one email can change everything. One meeting someone, one podcast, you know, someone could be listening here and be someone who might reach out to me and change everything. You just don't know.
We're getting a lot of back channel messages. You two probably are as well.
Yeah, one final question we've got from somebody in the clubhouse room before we wrap up. Nichelle, are you there?
Oh, Paul, thank you. Yeah, Danny, amazing. So inspirational. Love your EQ, your composure. And my 15-year-old was listening to you on the way to school and he was like, whoa, we've got to watch that Dragon's Den, Mum.
Thanks, Michelle.
So, that was really cool. I've got I get the passion and the mission and the lived experience. I've got 3 teenagers who've all suffered through sort of the hands of leadership and mental health. And my mission is to start schools that can be rolled out across the UK, where it's an equal playing field for everybody and equal opportunities. So
Good on you.
Thank you. I've dropped you a message and I've registered as well, because I really love what you're doing. But my question is, first of all, quick question: can women use the product? So I'm really interested to try. And secondly, if we go back to pre-Dragon's Den and your 150k investment from your family, and this was actually a question from my son, who's not here at the moment because he's got to school, is there more of an emotional tie when you're borrowing 150k from a family member versus an investor, or is it down to a personal choice of, do you have more of an emotional tie because it's somebody you know, or is it more of a responsibility because it's an investor?
Oh, great question.
No pressure, you got 2 minutes to answer.
So quickly, the first one, women can definitely wear the product. Women do buy it. 30% of our customers are women, not all wearing it for themselves, but buying for other halves. And then, first of all, what I suggest, always go to family first and raise as much as you can if you can't afford it yourself before you go to VCs or external people, because they should be bought into what you're doing, but only get it from people that can afford it, right? Because that's then not saying that it's less, you worry about it less, because of course it's a massive pressure. As soon as you take money, it changes everything, changes dynamics and all sorts. But I would suggest always going to family members first, people who can afford it, and believe in your mission, because then they would, and it's not about, they don't care about making a return on the money. Of course they do, but they just want you to succeed. And that's really, really important. But as soon as you take money, the pressure is it changes everything. So do everything you can, beg, steal, borrow, debt. But I was always in the mindset, if I lose the money, I'll make it back. And that's, I think, you've got to have the mindset. If you are really worried about money, that's a mindset thing again. I think you just got to risk it and do it.
So much comes down to mindset, doesn't it? Do you know what I do now if I need investment? Just ask Paul. Just ask Paul.
I just go down. I go down and crack to the sofa. Guys, I follow where Paul's been sitting.
Guys, that's why I'm here, yeah? We're crowdfunding. So, you're all signing up.
Guys,
what a morning, eh?
The link is at the top of the room right now. So you can go to warpaintformen.com/register and you can find out more information about the crowdfunding. Now, I know from behind the scenes, and sort of I interviewed Danny about 2 or 3 years ago when sort of things were just popping off the first time of sort of 10 pop-offs that I've seen recently, which is amazing. But I know that there's been a lot of people, a lot of institutional money that wanted to get into this brand, very, very early on. But part of the reason I was chatting to Dan a couple of days ago, part of the reason for doing it via crowdfunding is to make sure that it's the community that build this brand together. And whilst crowdfunding is not the easiest way to make money, probably not the cheapest or most cost-effective way to raise money, quite frankly, it's the way that lines up with the mission and the vision. So if you've loved what Danny shared this morning, if you would love to be part of this journey, if you'd like to own a stake in Warpaint for Men, go to warpaintformen.com/register, or just click the link in the top of the room right now and you can be part of it. I'm gonna join up. I'm gonna sign up.
I'm gonna buy some moisturiser. I think I'm gonna try it.
Yes, I think you should just get the full set and just try and it doesn't
come down.
Do you know? I've got an idea. I'll talk to you about this after.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Here he goes.
Matty Wilson, thank you very much, my friend, as normal.
Matty Wilson,
boys, great morning. Danny, not Daniel, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
What a good morning, eh?
What a fantastic morning indeed. Cheers.
It's nice to have some fresh voices instead of used to Muppets. Anyway.
Wow. Great morning as always. Cheers for your ears. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Hang on. What are you about to say?
I'm not
I'll go
here.
to Centre Park. I can't do Clubhouse tomorrow. I'm going to Centre Park.
I'm not here, so whoever's running the room and
Clubhouse is going to fail, everybody. Shipman's not around for the weekend. What are we going to do? Is someone else running the room?
I'll sort it out.
Anyway,
I'm a minute late for my meeting with Matt Wilson. He's sitting there looking at me. Look.
He don't mind, does he?
No, he's going down the side of the sofa at the minute, Paul. He's getting some pocket change that you've dropped.
He's coming in Warpaint.
Yeah. Boys, thank you very much.
Cheers.
Ta-da.